Right now, you assume you're fully awake, thinking, observing, existing. But what if this is just a fraction of your true potential? Consciousness isn't a single switch that flips between awake and asleep. It's a ladder, a hierarchy of awareness, and most people are unknowingly trapped on the lower rungs. There are 7 stages of consciousness, each revealing a deeper layer of reality. At the bottom, your mind vanishes into a void where you don't exist. At the peak, awareness expands beyond the self, tapping into something mystics and neuroscientists alike struggle to define. But here's the shocking part. Most people never climb beyond the first few levels. They cycle through the same shallow states, unaware that an entire spectrum of human potential remains locked away. This isn't just about sleep or focus. It's about understanding where your consciousness stands right now, and whether it's limiting your reality. The modern world thrives on keeping you distracted, stuck in the lower states, never questioning if there's more. The question is, how high have you climbed? And more importantly, how much further could you go? To answer that, we begin at the foundation. The lowest stage of consciousness isn't just unconsciousness. It's a place where your very existence dissolves into nothingness. A state you enter every single night but rarely question. Stage 1. Deep sleep, the void where consciousness hides. You spend 1/3 of your life in a state where you don't exist? Or do you? Every night, without fail, you disappear. Your thoughts dissolve. Your identity vanishes. The world ceases to exist. And yet, your body continues, functioning without you. This is deep sleep, the lowest stage of consciousness. It's easy to dismiss this state as simple unconsciousness, but beneath the surface, something extraordinary is happening. While you are gone, your brain is hard at work, orchestrating a symphony of hidden processes that keep you alive, restore your mind, and even solve problems without your awareness. If deep sleep were truly just an empty void, why does your brain demand it so desperately? The truth is, this state isn't passive. It's an active, intelligent process, one that operates without your involvement. In fact, the deeper you sleep, the more powerful its effects. Your body releases growth hormones, repairing cells and tissues. Synapses are pruned, fine-tuning neural connections for efficiency. Toxic waste is flushed from the brain, preventing cognitive decline. And memories? They aren't just stored. They're reconstructed, stripped of unnecessary details, and optimized for long-term retention. But here's where it gets even stranger. Deep sleep is also where your brain tackles problems you couldn't solve while awake. Studies show that when faced with complex challenges, people who sleep deeply often wake up with the solution, without any conscious effort. It's as if, in your absence, a more intelligent version of yourself takes over. Most people underestimate the power of deep sleep because they don't experience it correctly. Just because you sleep for 8 hours doesn't mean your body is reaping the full benefits. The modern world has corrupted this stage of consciousness, weakening its impact. Artificial light delays melatonin production, pushing sleep cycles out of sync. Chronic stress floods the brain with cortisol, preventing full restoration. Poor sleep hygiene leads to fragmented cycles, keeping you from reaching the depths where true repair happens. But when deep sleep is optimized, the effects are undeniable. Cognitive sharpness skyrockets. You think clearer, process information faster, and retain knowledge more effectively. Emotional resilience strengthens, the amygdala resets, reducing anxiety and stabilizing mood. Physical healing accelerates muscle recovery, immune function, and cellular repair peak during this phase. So how do you ensure your brain enters this optimal state night after night? To reclaim the power of deep sleep, small shifts make a massive impact. 1. Light control. Artificial blue light after sunset tricks your brain into believing it's still daytime. Dimming lights and avoiding screens at least an hour before bed allows melatonin to flow naturally. 2. Temperature drop. Your core temperature must decrease for deep sleep to occur. Keeping your bedroom cool, around 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 19 degrees Celsius. signals your body to enter restorative states faster. 3. Caffeine curfew. Even if you don't feel the effects, caffeine lingers in your system for hours. Cutting it off at least 8 hours before bedtime prevents it from disrupting deep sleep cycles. 4. Consistent timing. Your brain thrives on routine. Going to bed and waking up at the same time, even on weekends, strengthens the body's natural rhythms, allowing for more efficient deep sleep. 5. Mind unload. Racing thoughts sabotage entry into deep sleep. Journaling, meditation, or breathwork before bed reduces mental noise, making the transition into unconscious intelligence seamless. The deeper your sleep, the more optimized your mind becomes. And yet, this is only the first rung of consciousness. As we ascend to the next stage, the void begins to stir. Fragments of thought reappear, and your mind starts constructing realities of its own. You call them dreams, but they are far more than just random images, because at the next stage, your subconscious begins to speak. The question is, are you listening? Stage 2, dream sleep, your mind's secret movie studio. What if your wildest dreams aren't random chaos, but encrypted messages from your deeper self? Every night, without your permission, your mind becomes a storyteller. It constructs entire worlds, defies logic, and pulls you into scenarios so vivid they feel real, until you wake up. But what if these strange, unpredictable narratives aren't just meaningless hallucinations? What if they are coded messages from the deepest layers of your consciousness, waiting to be understood? This is the second stage of consciousness, dream sleep or REM sleep. Unlike the silent void of deep sleep, REM is where your mind comes alive. Your brain waves shift into a pattern similar to wakefulness. Your eyes dart beneath your eyelids, your muscles go limp, and your subconscious takes control. This stage is far more than just entertainment. It plays a critical role in processing emotions, forming memories, and unlocking creativity. But most importantly, it gives you access to a state of consciousness where hidden truths, unresolved fears, and untapped insights reveal themselves in symbolic form. For centuries, people have questioned whether dreams hold meaning. Science now confirms what ancient wisdom has always suggested. Dreaming isn't just a passive experience. It's an active, intelligent process designed to guide you, if you know how to decode it. Rapid eye movement, REM sleep, is unique. It's the only stage where your brain becomes hyperactive while your body remains paralyzed. In this state, consciousness isn't fully awake, but it isn't unconscious either. Instead, it exists in a hybrid mode, one where logic, emotion, and imagination collide. During REM, neural networks reorganize. Unresolved emotions bubble to the surface. Your brain experiments with different solutions to waking life problems, running simulations in the form of dreams. It's like an overnight therapy session, except most people never realize it's happening. And here's the real kicker. Without REM sleep, your mind begins to break down. Studies show that prolonged REM deprivation leads to hallucinations, emotional instability, and cognitive decline. Your brain demands this phase not just for rest, but for mental clarity and problem solving. Have you ever woken up from a dream that felt too real, as if it had a message buried within it? Dreams aren't random. They follow a unique logic of their own, one that often reveals insights you overlook while awake. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, believed dreams act as a bridge between your conscious and unconscious mind. Symbols, emotions, and strange scenarios aren't meaningless. They're coded messages, reflecting deeper aspects of your psyche. For example, being chased often signifies unresolved stress or avoidance. Flying may represent a sense of freedom or escape from limitations. Teeth falling out is frequently linked to anxiety or personal transformation. While interpretations vary, one thing is clear: your dreams are communicating with you. The question is, are you paying attention? What if you could control your dreams? What if, instead of passively experiencing them, you could shape them, interact with them, and use them as a tool for self-discovery? This is where lucid dreaming enters the equation. A lucid dream is when you become aware that you are dreaming without waking up. And once you realize this, you can manipulate the dream environment, explore your subconscious, and even practice real-life skills in a risk-free mental space. Science confirms that lucid dreaming is real. Brain scans show that when a dreamer becomes lucid, their prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and decision-making, lights up. This means the dreaming brain is fully capable of conscious thought. Lucid dreaming has been used for overcoming fears by confronting nightmares head-on, enhancing creativity by accessing boundless imagination, solving problems by directly asking the subconscious for answers, practicing skills. Athletes and musicians have used lucid dreams to refine their abilities while asleep. So how do you enter a lucid dream? Techniques like reality checks, dream journaling, and wake-back-to-bed methods can significantly increase the chances of awareness within dreams. But lucid or not, every dream you experience serves a purpose. They aren't just chaos, they're your subconscious speaking in symbols. Beyond creativity and insight, dream sleep plays another crucial role: sorting and storing your memories. During REM, your brain replays key events from the day, deciding what to keep and what to discard. It strengthens important memories, weakens unnecessary ones, and links new information to past experiences. This is why students who sleep well remember material better, and why emotional experiences often appear in dreams. Your mind is working to process them. Without REM, memory retention plummets. Learning slows. Emotional wounds remain unresolved. This stage isn't just a dream factory. It's your mind's personal editor, refining your understanding of the world. History is filled with breakthroughs that came from dreams. From scientific discoveries to artistic masterpieces, some of humanity's greatest ideas were first seen in dream form. Why? Because in dreams, the brain is free from the constraints of logic. It can form connections that waking consciousness would dismiss as impossible. This is why problems that seem unsolvable at night often feel easy by morning. Your subconscious has been working on them while you sleep. If you've ever had a dream that felt oddly important, you might be overlooking a valuable insight. Dreams aren't just nonsense. They're your mind's way of showing you something it already knows. To harness the power of dream sleep, simple adjustments make a profound difference. 1. Keep a dream journal. Writing dreams down immediately after waking strengthens recall and reveals patterns over time. 2. Set an intention before sleep. If you want insight on a problem, think about it as you fall asleep. The subconscious often delivers answers. 3. Optimize REM cycles. Avoid alcohol and heavy meals before bed, as they interfere with REM sleep. 4. Practice mindfulness during the day. Lucid dreaming is easier when you build awareness in waking life. Dream sleep isn't just a nightly escape. It's a direct portal into your subconscious, an untapped well of creativity, and a hidden guide helping you navigate life. But what happens when dreams fade and consciousness moves toward wakefulness? The mind doesn't just snap back to reality. It enters another unique state, a transitional phase where imagination and insight blur together, giving rise to some of the greatest ideas in human history. This is where genius is born, and most people never realize they're in it. Stage 3, light sleep, the genius zone. Ever wonder why your best ideas come right before sleep? You've stumbled into history's most creative mental state. There's a reason some of the greatest minds in history swore by the moments just before sleep. Einstein, Tesla, Edison, they all understood that something profound happens in this state. It's a brief window where logic softens, creativity sharpens, and breakthroughs emerge effortlessly. This is the third stage of consciousness. Light sleep, also known as the hypnagogic state. You've been here before, those fleeting moments when you're not fully awake, yet not fully asleep. Images flicker, thoughts turn abstract. Ideas connect in ways they never would in waking life. Most people ignore the state, letting it slip away unnoticed. But those who know how to use it can access one of the most powerful creative zones available to the human mind. It's not just about random thoughts before bed. This state is a gateway, one that, if properly harnessed, can unlock groundbreaking ideas, sharpen intuition, and even grant access to subconscious wisdom. But why does this happen? And how can you control it? Light sleep is unlike any other state of consciousness. It's a threshold, a moment where the analytical mind begins to shut down, yet the subconscious hasn't fully taken over. Your brainwaves begin to shift from beta, active thinking, to alpha, relaxed awareness, and finally into theta, deep intuition and creativity. This transition opens a unique mental space where images and symbols appear without effort. Ideas form in an unrestricted, nonlinear way. The brain freely associates concepts, making unexpected yet profound connections. It's why so many great thinkers have reported sudden insights right before drifting off. In this state, intuition and logic temporarily work together, allowing for leaps in understanding that seem impossible in normal waking consciousness. But here's the problem. Most people lose these insights before they can act on them. Throughout history, those who understood the power of light sleep created rituals to capture its brilliance. Thomas Edison would sit in a chair holding metal balls in his hands. As he drifted into light sleep, his grip would relax, and the balls would drop, waking him up just in time to capture his ideas. Salvador Dali used a similar method, calling it slumber with a key. He would hold a key over a plate, allowing it to drop and wake him at the perfect moment of inspiration. Nikola Tesla claimed that his best ideas arrived during these brief, half-asleep states. Why did they go to such lengths? Because the ideas that emerge in this state often disappear the moment deeper sleep takes over. If not captured immediately, they vanish. This is why some of your most profound thoughts come right before you sleep, only to be forgotten by morning. The key to using this state effectively is awareness. Most people don't recognize when they enter light sleep, so they let its insights slip away unnoticed. But once you know how to extend and direct it, the results can be staggering. To harness the creative power of light sleep. 1. Use the wake back to bed technique. Wake up 90 minutes before your usual time. Stay awake for a few minutes. Then relax back into sleep while focusing on a problem or idea. The transition back into light sleep often generates unique insights. 2. Engage in hypnagogic journaling. As you drift into sleep, hold a notebook nearby and write down any fleeting images, phrases, or ideas that emerge. These seemingly random thoughts often hold deeper meaning. 3. Set an intention before sleep. If you're struggling with a problem, think about it as you relax into light sleep. The subconscious mind will begin working on solutions, often revealing them through intuitive flashes. 4. Experiment with audio stimulation. Certain sounds, like binaural beats or ambient frequencies, can help maintain the delicate balance between wakefulness and sleep, extending this state for longer periods. By practicing these techniques, you train your mind to stay conscious within the unconscious, allowing you to retrieve and apply the insights normally lost to sleep. Why is light sleep such a goldmine for creativity? The answer lies in brainwave states and memory processing. During this phase, the brain isn't strictly logical or emotional, it's both. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thought, begins to quiet. The hippocampus, which stores memories, starts integrating information. The association cortex, which links ideas together, becomes more active. This combination makes it easier to form new connections that wouldn't normally occur while fully awake. Studies show that light sleep enhances pattern recognition, allowing people to identify relationships between concepts they wouldn't normally see. This is why musicians, writers, and scientists alike have reported breakthroughs in this state. Even dreams that follow can be shaped by the thoughts experienced in this phase. The hypnagogic state acts as a prelude to dreaming, influencing what the subconscious works on during the night. Most people rush past this stage without realizing its potential. They fall asleep too quickly or let their minds wander aimlessly. But with practice, you can learn to prolong and direct this state for maximum impact. How to stay in light sleep longer. Practice liminal dreaming. Instead of trying to fall asleep instantly, relax and observe your thoughts without actively engaging in them. This keeps the mind in the hypnagogic state for longer periods. Use conscious relaxation techniques. Slow, rhythmic breathing and body scans help maintain the delicate balance between wakefulness and sleep. Sleep in intervals. Taking short naps or segmented sleep periods allows for more frequent access to this state. By training yourself to remain aware during this transition, you gain access to a hidden layer of consciousness. One where creativity, insight, and intuition flourish effortlessly. But as your mind moves beyond light sleep, something shifts. You step into full wakefulness, where the illusion of control takes over. Most people believe they are now fully conscious, fully in charge. But science says otherwise, because the next stage reveals a shocking truth. You may not be as awake as you think. Stage 4, Wakeful Awareness, the default mode deception. You think you're fully awake right now, but science says you're only using 5% of your awareness. Right now, you believe you're awake. You're conscious, alert, and in control. But what if that's just an illusion? What if the state you call being awake is actually closer to sleep than you realize? This is the 4th stage of consciousness, wakeful awareness. It's the state most people spend their entire lives in, moving through daily routines, reacting to the world, assuming they are fully conscious. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of your wakefulness is an autopilot illusion. Neuroscientists have discovered that, at any given moment, you're only consciously aware of about 5% of reality. The rest is filtered out, processed unconsciously, or completely ignored. Your mind is running a program, a predictive model that fills in the gaps, deciding what you should focus on and what can be discarded. This isn't just speculation. Brain scans reveal that a massive portion of your mental activity happens outside of conscious awareness. And unless you learn to override this programming, you're not truly awake, you're just running in default mode. Think about this. Have you ever driven somewhere, only to realize you don't remember half the journey? Have you ever read a page of a book, only to realize you weren't paying attention? Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why? These are signs that autopilot mode is running. It's not a glitch. It's how your brain conserves energy. Your mind is designed to recognize patterns and run pre-programmed responses. It assumes that most of what happens around you is predictable, so instead of processing every detail, it takes shortcuts, relying on habits, assumptions, and past experiences. This is efficient, but it's also limiting. It keeps you locked into repetitive thought patterns, emotional reactions, and conditioned behaviors, without you even realizing it. In other words, you may not be as awake as you think. Mindless versus mindful living, the hidden trap. Wakefulness isn't binary. It's not just asleep or awake. It's a spectrum, and most people hover at the lowest levels of it. Most of what you do each day is habitual, unconscious behavior. You wake up and scroll through your phone without thinking. You eat the same foods, say the same phrases, have the same emotional reactions. You're not making conscious choices, you're just following a script. And here's the dangerous part. Autopilot doesn't feel like autopilot. Feels normal. Feels like life. This is why so many people spend decades in this state, never questioning it. They assume that their thoughts are their own, their emotions are justified, and their worldview is accurate. But what if all of that is just programming? The key to breaking free is awareness. Your brain doesn't show you reality. It shows you a filtered version of reality. Every second, your senses take in about 11 million bits of information. But your conscious mind can only process about 50. That means the vast majority of what's happening around you is filtered out. You're only seeing, hearing, and experiencing a tiny fraction of reality, based on what your mind expects to see. This is why two people can experience the exact same event and interpret it completely differently. Their brains are filtering reality in different ways. These filters are shaped by beliefs. What you think is true determines what you notice. Past experiences, your brain prioritizes familiar patterns. Emotional state, fear narrows perception, while curiosity expands it. Most of the time, you're not seeing reality as it is, you're seeing reality as your brain has conditioned you to see it. And until you recognize this, you remain trapped inside a mental cage you don't even know exists. If you want to become truly awake, you must override the default mode. This means 1. Interrupt your patterns, break routines. Try new things. Challenge your automatic reactions. 2. Question your thoughts. Are your beliefs real or just conditioned? Are your emotions justified or just habitual? 3. Engage your senses. Become hyper-aware of sounds, sights, and sensations in the present moment. 4. Slow down and observe. Instead of reacting impulsively, pause. Watch your own mind at work. The goal isn't just to wake up for a moment and then go back to sleep. The goal is to live in a state of heightened awareness. Because once you start noticing how much of your life has been running on autopilot, you can finally take control. Every spiritual tradition, every psychological breakthrough, every moment of genius, it all points back to one thing: presence. To be fully awake means to be fully here, fully now. Not lost in thought, not trapped in patterns, not living in the past or future, but completely immersed in the present. This is where true consciousness begins. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What happens when you go beyond ordinary wakefulness? Because the next stage of consciousness isn't just about being present. It's about something even more powerful. It's about mastering the ability to direct your focus on demand. And in a world full of distractions, that's becoming the ultimate superpower. Stage 5. Focused attention, the superpower of deep focus. In an age of constant distraction, sustained focus is becoming a rare human superpower. Right now, something is fighting for your attention. Maybe it's a notification. Maybe it's an unfinished thought. Maybe it's just the restless urge to check something, anything, that might feel more stimulating than this moment. And that's exactly the problem. We live in a world designed to fracture your attention. Every app, every ad, every flashing screen is built to pull you away from what actually matters. And the result? A society that can't focus. But here's what most people don't realize. Attention is power. The ability to direct your focus at will, to sustain deep, uninterrupted concentration, is what separates the average from the extraordinary. It's the foundation of mastery, innovation, and peak performance. And yet, most people have lost this ability entirely. So the question is, how do you take it back? Your brain is not designed to multitask. In fact, every time you switch tasks, your cognitive efficiency drops. Studies show that even a brief distraction, like checking a message, can reduce productivity for up to 25 minutes before you fully regain focus. But it's even worse than that. Chronic distraction actually rewires your brain, weakening your ability to focus even when you want to. The more you jump from one thing to another, the more your brain adapts to shallow, surface-level thinking. Deep focus, on the other hand, does the opposite. When you sustain attention on a single task, your brain strengthens neural pathways related to that task. Your working memory improves, allowing you to hold and manipulate more complex ideas. Your perception of time shifts, making work feel effortless and immersive. This is why the world's highest performers, athletes, artists, scientists, design their lives around eliminating distractions. Because they know that focus isn't just a skill, it's a weapon. Focus training protocols, how to rebuild your attention span. The good news? Attention is trainable. Just like a muscle, the more you practice deep focus, the stronger it becomes. Here's how to reclaim your ability to concentrate. 1. Eliminate digital clutter. Every unnecessary app, notification, or tab is a leak in your mental energy. Audit and remove everything that doesn't serve your goals. 2. Use the 90-minute rule. Your brain works best in ultradian cycles, about 90 minutes of deep work, followed by a short break. Structure your work around these cycles. 3. Practice attention sprints. Start with short, distraction-free work sessions, even 20 minutes, and gradually build your ability to focus for longer periods. 4. Train with meditation. Just 10 minutes of focused meditation a day can significantly improve concentration over time. 5. Engage in monotasking. Pick one task. Shut everything else down. Set a timer. Train yourself to stay with it fully until it's complete. Most people won't do this. Most people prefer the easy hit of distraction over the discomfort of focus. But those who master this process unlock something most people never experience. Flow state. If deep focus is a skill, then flow state is the reward. Flow is the state where time disappears, minutes feel like seconds, hours pass effortlessly. Your inner critic shuts down. You stop overthinking and start acting with pure instinct. Your performance skyrockets. Whether you're creating, learning, or competing, everything clicks. But here's the key. Flow is not random. It doesn't just happen. It's triggered. And one of the biggest triggers is sustained focus. To enter flow, you need 3 things. 1. Clear goals. Your brain needs a specific target to lock onto. 2. Challenge skill balance. The task must be just outside your comfort zone, hard enough to engage you, but not so hard that it creates anxiety. 3. Deep elimination of distractions. Flow can't exist in a fractured mind. You must remove every competing stimulus. Once you create these conditions, flow starts to emerge naturally. And when it does, everything changes. Because the truth is, most people have never experienced true effortless immersion. They've never felt what it's like to be so engaged in something that the outside world completely disappears. But those who tap into this state don't just work better, they live differently. The final step is learning how to control your focus on demand. This means you can enter deep focus at will, maintain concentration for extended periods, recover quickly from distractions. Here's how to reach that level. 1. Train your attention like a muscle. Every time you resist distraction and return to the task, you strengthen your focus. 2. Use the 5 more rule. When you feel like stopping, do just 5 more minutes. This builds mental endurance. 3. Design your environment for focus. Remove all distractions. Create a space where deep work is effortless. 4. Control dopamine. To control focus, reduce dopamine hijackers like social media, constant notifications, and excessive stimulation. The less you seek cheap dopamine, the stronger your focus becomes. 5. Work with your natural rhythm. Identify your peak energy periods during the day and schedule deep work for those windows. Mastering these techniques doesn't just improve focus. It rewires your entire relationship with reality. Because the more you train your attention, the more you realize something profound. You control where your awareness goes. And in a world full of distractions, that control is everything. Digital age concentration. Why this skill is becoming rare and valuable. Most people today can't focus for more than a few minutes. They've trained their brains to be addicted to novelty, scrolling endlessly from one stimulus to another. But those who break free from this trap, who learn how to concentrate deeply, are becoming the new elite. The ability to enter deep focus is the foundation of mastery in any skill, the key to high-level problem-solving and innovation, the gateway to flow state and peak performance. And most importantly, it's the stepping stone to higher consciousness. Because as your mind sharpens and your awareness expands, something unexpected happens. You start to transcend ordinary experience, which leads to the next stage, the state where time disappears, effort vanishes, and you step into something beyond the self. The state where you become superhuman. Stage 6, flow state where time disappears. There's a state where you become superhuman, and science can now explain how to access it at will. Right now, Think of the last time you were completely lost in an activity. Hours passed like minutes. Your mind was fully engaged. Your actions felt effortless, almost automatic. That was flow state. It's the most powerful cognitive state a human can experience, where focus, performance, and creativity peak simultaneously. And the craziest part? Science can now map, trigger, and train it. For decades, flow was thought to be random, unpredictable, a rare accident of the mind. But now we know better. Researchers have decoded the precise mechanisms behind it, revealing that flow is not magic. It's a formula, and if you learn to control it, you unlock the ultimate human potential. Flow state triggers, the code to unlock superhuman performance. Flow doesn't happen by chance. It happens when specific conditions are met. There are 3 primary triggers that launch your brain into flow. 1. Clear goals and immediate feedback. Your brain needs a specific mission and a way to measure progress in real time. 2. Challenge skill balance. The task must be just beyond your current abilities, pushing you to improve without overwhelming you. 3. Complete focus and elimination of distractions. Flow cannot exist in a scattered mind. Every distraction must be removed. When these 3 elements align, your brain shifts gears, activating a cascade of neurochemicals that amplify performance. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-judgment and overthinking, shuts down. Your dopamine levels spike, locking you into deep motivation. Your time perception distorts, making hours feel like minutes. In this state, everything just clicks. Peak performance mechanics. What happens in flow? When you enter flow, your brain chemistry radically changes. Norepinephrine floods your system, sharpening your focus. Dopamine spikes, increasing motivation and pattern recognition. Endorphins kick in, making effort feel effortless. Anandamide releases, heightening lateral thinking and creative problem solving. This is why flow feels incredible. Your brain is literally hacked into its most optimal state. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it a creative trance. Scientists call it transient hypofrontality, where your self-conscious mind switches off, allowing your deeper intelligence to take over. And this isn't just about feeling good. It's about raw performance. Studies show that when you enter flow, learning speeds up by 500%. Creativity increases by 400%. Productivity skyrockets by 500%. It's not just a better way to work. It's a better way to exist. One of the strangest aspects of flow is time itself begins to change. Sometimes it slows down, like in life or death situations, where every moment feels stretched. Other times it speeds up, where hours pass in what feels like minutes. This happens because, in flow, your brain switches off its usual time-tracking functions. Your focus is so locked in, so immersed in the present moment, that the usual mental chatter, the part of you constantly thinking about past and future, disappears. What remains is pure, unfiltered now. And that's why flow feels so freeing, because it removes the weight of time itself. Accessing flow on demand, the science of getting in the zone. Most people drift in and out of flow randomly, experiencing it only a few times a year, if ever. But elite performers, world-class creatives, and top athletes, they've hacked flow to enter it at will. Here's how. 1. Control your environment. Flow requires 0 distractions. Silence notifications. Block interruptions. Train yourself to operate in deep, undisturbed focus. 2. Set a clear goal. Your brain needs a specific target to lock onto. The clearer your goal, the faster you enter flow. 3. Push your skill limit. Flow happens when the challenge is just beyond your comfort zone. Too easy? You get bored. Too hard? You get frustrated. Find the perfect balance. 4. Use a pre-flow ritual. Many high performers use triggers to launch into flow. Listening to the same music, meditating, or even wearing specific clothing to signal to the brain, it's go time. 5. Eliminate self-criticism. Flow shuts down your inner critic. If you overthink, judge yourself, or second-guess every move, you block flow from activating. Let go. Trust the process. These principles don't just help you enter flow, they help you stay there longer. And the longer you stay in flow, the more you train your brain to access it faster, more frequently, and with greater depth. Most people think of flow as something that happens only in extreme conditions, during sports, music, or high-stakes performances. But what if you could live in flow every single day? This is what true masters of consciousness do. They don't just enter flow for short bursts, they structure their entire lives around it. Here's how you can start. 1. Apply flow to everyday tasks. Cooking, writing, exercising. Any activity can become a flow trigger if you eliminate distractions and push yourself into deep engagement. 2. Use the flow first rule. Prioritize flow-inducing work first in your day, before shallow distractions pull you off track. 3. Recover wisely. Flow is intense. Deep rest is just as important. Alternate deep focus with relaxation periods to keep your brain primed for high performance. 4. Reduce dopamine hijackers. If you flood your brain with cheap dopamine, social media, endless scrolling, you weaken your ability to enter flow. Protect your neurochemistry. 5. Treat flow like a daily ritual. Instead of waiting for flow to happen, make it a structured habit, something you train like a skill. When flow becomes a way of life, everything changes. Work stops feeling like work. You start creating at a level you never thought possible. Your perception of time, effort, and even self transforms. But here's the real secret. Flow isn't the highest state of consciousness. There's still one more level. Because when you push beyond flow, beyond self, beyond thought, beyond even high-performance states, you enter something else entirely. You step into transcendence, the final level of consciousness, the place where self dissolves, time vanishes, and reality itself starts to shift. Stage 7, Transcendental Consciousness, beyond the self. What happens when consciousness expands beyond its normal boundaries? Both mystics and neuroscientists are starting to agree. Everything you've ever experienced, every thought, every emotion, every perception, has happened within the confines of your mind. But what if that boundary could be broken? What if consciousness wasn't limited to the self, but something much larger? For centuries, mystics, monks, and sages have described states of awareness that go beyond the individual mind. They speak of experiences where the sense of I dissolves, where the illusion of separateness vanishes, revealing a vast, interconnected reality. And now, modern neuroscience is catching up. Brain scans, meditation studies, and cutting-edge research all point to one conclusion. There is a higher level of consciousness, a state where thought stops, the ego fades, and awareness itself expands beyond its usual limits. This is transcendental consciousness, and reaching it is the final step in awakening. For most people, consciousness is a noisy place. The mind is constantly talking, analyzing, labeling, and reacting. But when you access transcendental consciousness, that noise disappears. Brain scans of advanced meditators show something incredible. The default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for self-referential thinking, shuts down. Activity in the prefrontal cortex, the center of logic and planning, reduces dramatically. A unique pattern of whole brain synchronization emerges, creating a state of deep, effortless awareness. In this state, thoughts stop, but awareness remains. Time dissolves. There is no past, no future, just a vast, infinite present. The illusion of self disappears. What remains is a sense of boundless existence, of being connected to everything, yet separate from nothing. This is the experience mystics call enlightenment. And now scientists have a name for it too: non-dual awareness. The most reliable gateway to transcendental consciousness? Meditation. But not just any meditation. Specific techniques designed to dissolve the ego and expand awareness. Studies show that long-term meditation practitioners experience thicker gray matter in areas associated with introspection and awareness, decreased activity in the amygdala, reducing fear and emotional reactivity, increased gamma wave activity, linked to heightened perception and deep interconnectedness. And here's the most fascinating part. Even short bursts of deep meditation can induce glimpses of transcendental states, moments where the mind becomes silent, the self fades, and pure awareness takes over. These moments aren't just psychological shifts, they're biological transformations. With enough practice, the brain rewires itself, making these states more accessible. Not just in meditation, but in everyday life. For decades, spiritual traditions have taught that the individual self is an illusion, that the idea of me and mine is nothing more than a mental construct. Now, neuroscience is starting to confirm this. In deep states of meditation, psychedelics, and near-death experiences, the boundaries of self collapse. The brain stops processing reality in terms of I and instead perceives a vast, interconnected field of awareness. Some researchers propose that consciousness itself is fundamental, not just a product of the brain, but something that exists beyond it. Quantum physics even hints at this possibility. Some theories suggest that the universe itself behaves like a giant consciousness field, where everything is connected at a fundamental level. If this is true, then your awareness isn't just yours. It's part of something much bigger. And transcendental consciousness isn't about achieving something new. It's about remembering what you've always been. You don't have to be a monk meditating in a cave to access these states. You can integrate transcendental consciousness into your daily experience right now. Here's how. 1. Practice no-mind awareness. Take a moment to stop thinking, not by force, but by watching thoughts without engaging them. 2. Engage in deep presence. The more fully you experience this moment, the less trapped you are by past and future. 3. Use the I am meditation. Focus purely on the sense of being. Not your name, not your history, just awareness itself. 4. Question the self. Ask yourself, who is thinking these thoughts? Who am I really? This can trigger powerful shifts in perception. 5. Experience nature consciously. When fully immersed in nature, the sense of self often dissolves, revealing a deep connection to everything. These small practices can unlock a doorway, one that leads to states of profound clarity, peace, and interconnectedness. And the more you experience this, the more you realize something radical. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not even your mind. You are awareness itself. So what happens when you stabilize this state? You stop reacting to life and start experiencing it fully. You stop seeking external fulfillment because you realize everything you've ever wanted is already within. You stop being ruled by the ego and begin operating from a place of clarity, peace, and deep intuition. This is why true masters, whether spiritual or scientific, always describe the same experience. A state of being where the illusion of separateness collapses, where life is no longer a struggle, but a seamless, effortless flow. And when you reach this point, something profound happens. You don't just understand reality. You become one with it. From the deep sleep void, where awareness is hidden, to the dream state, where the subconscious whispers its secrets, to the light sleep threshold, where creativity is born, to wakeful awareness, where most people live in illusion, to deep focus, where mastery begins, to flow state, where time disappears, and finally to transcendental consciousness, where self dissolves and awareness expands beyond all limits. This is the full spectrum of human consciousness. Most people never move past the lower stages. They remain trapped in distraction, overthinking, and ego-driven illusions. But those who unlock the higher levels step into something beyond ordinary experience. They see reality as it truly is. They transcend limitations. They awaken. And now that you know this, where will you go next?